Good morning, children. Today we are going to study about the Middle Ages. Last class we have studied about the classical period. In the classical period, in the European countries, Rome and Greek countries emerged as a prosperous country that we have studied. But later years, Roman Empire, the biggest Roman Empire, was declined by the barbarians, isn't it? We have studied. The Constantinople was captured by Ottoman Turks in 1453. So after this, it was called as that period. 1453 was the last period of the decline of Roman Empire, is the last period of old age. Now the historians, they divided the period into three: old period, middle period and the modern period. So the old period ended in 1453, that means 476 AD. From that onwards, that period is called as Middle Ages. Okay, now let us know the introduction. Read the introduction. Now we are going to study about this lesson. What happened in the Middle Ages in China, Japan, world countries, Asian countries and India. What happened? What was the situation? Let us study about those period, middle period. Introduction. Historians call the period between the end of the Roman Empire in 476 AD and the capture of Constantinople by the Turks, Ottoman Turks, in 1453 AD as the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages has been further classified as early Middle Age, Middle Age and later Middle Age. In the early Middle Ages, that is 5th to 10th century. Early Middle Ages is 5th to 10th century. At that time, Christianity, religion, a new religion, 6th century, a new religion flourished, Christianity, followed by Islam, began to establish themselves as a dominant religions of continental Europe or European continent. The Central or High Middle Ages witnessed rapid development. In the Central Middle Ages and High Middle Ages, Central Middle Ages, otherwise known as High Middle Ages, witnessed rapid development marked by territorial expansion, demography and urban growth and the restructuring of secular and religious institutions. The history of Arab civilization that began a little later, that the history of Byzantium covers a period roughly from 630 AD to 630 AD to 1300 Common Era, that is. It was known as Saracenic civilization. That means it is a Islamic culture. Islam religion emerged and it grew very faster, and Islam people started to rule the empire, Arab empire. So that culture, that civilization is known as Saracenic. That means Sara means Sahara, that came between the Sahara desert till that they ruled the territory. Saracenic civilization. It was the center of a new religion, and its impact on Christian Europe was responsible for revolutionary social and intellectual changes in the Middle Ages. The Islamic influence impact the Christian in the European continent. Now let us know about the Turks, Muslims, Seljuk Turks, Ottoman Turks and the Seljuk Turks. Seljuk Turks, they were the tribal Tartars from Central Asia. The Seljuk Turks were the tribal people from where Central Asia. They established a powerful empire in Persia Arabic region. The region was one of the great progress in literature, art and architecture. Similarly, the Ottoman Turks who moved Anatolia, they moved Anatolia, that means it is in Asia Minor, and established an independent empire, contributed to science and technology in a big way. Okay. Next is East Asia in the Middle Ages. East Asia, that is China, Japan, the countries Middle Ages who ruled those area. Sui dynasty. We have already studied about China. Chinese empire, the first empire belonged to Qin dynasty. Qin Shi Huangdi, who constructed the Great Wall of China. He captured whole empire of China and he constructed the Great Wall of China. Now, after Qin dynasty, Zhou dynasty, after so many dynasty, Zhou dynasty, Sui dynasty in 618, Sui dynasty collapsed in 40 years because of financial burden imposed by public works like the Grand Canal in the expensive wars waged to conquer northern part of Korea. So the Sui dynasty rulers, what they did, they constructed Grand Canal. Not only that, and they influenced themselves into war, expensive war, so that the Sui dynasty collapsed. The Tang dynasty, next to Sui dynasty, the Tang dynasty rose from the widespread rebellions that took place to establish a strong centralized empire. Liu Yuan, who organized the rebellion, made Yang Yu the emperor of China. As Yang Yu was killed by one of his royal officials, the Chancellor Li Yuan proclaimed himself emperor. Several hundred kilometers of the Great Wall were rebuilt by Li Yuan. Rebuilt. Northwest frontier. Along the northwest frontier, military campaigns extended the empire's influence into Korea in the east and far as the borders of Persia, Indochina in the west. All these areas were under the control of the Li Yuan. Okay, Tang dynasty people. Now, Great Wall of China, we have already studied. Between 8th and 7th centuries BC, the warring states in China built defensive walls to protect themselves from enemies from the north. During Qin dynasty, the separate walls were connected and consequently the wall stretched from east to west for about 5,000 kilometers. This wall, considered to be one of the wonders of the world we know, served to keep nomadic tribes out. The wall was further extended during the period of Tang dynasty. Li Yuan, he rebuilt by the succeeding dynasties. Now it is 6,700 kilometers length. That you should not forget. Okay, children? Okay, now Tang dynasty undertook enormous public works. Two capital cities. Chinese people had two capital cities, Boyang and Chang'an. Underline, were built. Scholar officials trained in Confucius philosophy. Confucius was a philosopher, his philosophy, many scholars studied, were appointed as a counterbalance the land owning persons' holdings. As a result, the agricultural surplus went to the state as taxes. So, agricultural surplus of agricultural. So, not to the aristocrats as rents. State monopoly of salt and tea, enormous salt and tea prepared in China. That also gave enormous wealth to Chinese kingdom. Now, Sung dynasty. The Sung dynasty, rebellion of hard-pressed peasantry under the leadership of Hong Chao dealt with death knell to the tottering Tang Empire. So, the Tang Empire came to end by Hung dynasty, Chao. Okay, that empire split into 5 rival states until it was reunited under a new dynasty, Sung. Trade and industry flourished during the reign of Sung dynasty. Iron and steel industries became highly organized. The quantity of iron produced in China 1778 exceeded to 114,000 tons. England produced at that time 68,000 tons, even in 1788. But China excelled in ceramics and porcelain making. This technique was not known to Europe for another 700 years. And also gunpowder was invented by Chinese. They used by 1044 itself. China possessed printed books half of a millennium before Europe. யூரோப்புக்கு முன்னாடியே சைனா நிறைய விஷயங்களில் எக்ஸலண்ட்டாக இருக்காங்க. Then Herman, A People's History of the World. Chris Herman wrote A People's History of World. From that book only this paragraph taken. Okay, children. Then, now fall of Sung dynasty. Sung period was also a period of great prosperity to the landowning class, officials and rich merchants. The persons by contrast had to suffer grinding poverty. Before any internal crisis could develop, there were two external invasions from the north that ended the Sung dynasty. The Mongols established their rule in the name of Yuan dynasty. After the Sung dynasty, Yuan dynasty came into existence. Now let us know about the Yuan dynasty in China. China emerged. Why we are studying about China? During the Middle Ages, China and Japan, how the classical period before Middle Ages, how Rome and Greek emerged as a superpower, but in the Middle Ages, China and Japan emerged as a superpower. So that we are studying. The Mongols who overran Persia and the whole of Central Asia did not spare China either. Mangu Khan became the great Khan, underline children, Mangu Khan, in 1252, who appointed Kublai Khan the governor of China. Okay, children. Now, the Mongol presence from one end of Eurasia, Eurasia means Europe and Asia together called Eurasia, to the other played a key role in spreading Chinese technological advances to the less developed societies in the West. Though the Mongol court in Beijing impressed a foreigner like Marco Polo, and poverty of peasantry continued. There were revolts of religious sects and secret societies, religious divisions, revolts. Buddhism ரெண்டா பிரிஞ்சது, Jainism ரெண்டா பிரிஞ்சது, divided into two. Likewise, religious divisions happened. Finally, the leader of Red Turbans, Chu Yuanchang, captured Mongol capital Beijing and proclaimed himself emperor in 1369 in China. Now China was under the control of Mongolians. The Mongolians were the tribal people who came from Asia Minor. Okay, children. Their governor was Kublai Khan. Mangu Khan's governor Kublai Khan. Ming Empire. The Ming Empire, which replaced the Mongol Empire, consciously discouraged industry and foreign trade in order to concentrate on agriculture. This resulted economically China lagging. So, after the Mongol, they discouraged industry and foreign trade. So, economically China declined. Then, other part of the Eurasia, building on the techniques of the Chinese. Matra countries, Eurasia, Europe, Asia and all, they building on the techniques of Chinese. They began to march ahead. That means அவங்க இவங்களை விட வளர ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க. ஓகேயா? ஸோ இப்போ because of Mongol rules, China came into decline. Let us know about Japan. Many of the ancestors of the Japanese came from Korea and some from Malaysia. So Japan people have come from Korea and Malaysia. It was through Korea that Chinese civilization reached. Yamato means the original name of the Japan. Chinese civilization Japan because of Koreans reached அவங்களுடைய civilization. Okay children, the next, the original inhabitants of the country are known as Ainas. Children, underline this. Ainas means the Japanese people. Country's name, what is the name of the country? Yamato. Japan in the middle, during the Middle Ages, it was called as Yamato. So, and the people were called as Ainas. The original religion of Japan was Shinto. Underline. 3 fill in the blanks. It was the mixture of nature and ancestor worship. They worshipped ancestors. Japan remained in isolation for many countries. This gave them the benefit of enjoying freedom from foreign invasion. In Japan, Buddhism came through Korea. See, later period during the 19th century and all, many powerful countries, especially European countries, they captured many Asian and African countries and they made it as their colonies. But Japan was not become any of the countries' colony. Okay, so they enjoyed their freedom. In Japan, also the leading families opposed and fought each other to gain power. Their emperor Mikado was an autocrat, but a puppet in the hands of a few powerful families. The first great family that controlled the state was the Soga family. Shotoku Taisei was the leader. Underline children. He made the central government strong in Japan. Shotoku Taisei. After the death of Shotoku Taisei, his family was driven out by Nakatomi on Kamatari, the founder of the Fujiwara family. Kamatari adopted, that is Japanese language children, many Chinese method and made the central government further strong. He made Nara the capital. From 794 AD, Kyoto remained the capital for more than 1000 years until it was replaced by Tokyo. Tokyo is present the capital of Japan, isn't it children? Now Fujiwara, till that this Kyoto was the capital of Japan. Fujiwara family emperors in later years retired to monasteries and lived as monks. Later, these Fujiwara family emperors, they lived as monks. And they retired to monasteries. நிறைய monasteries கட்டி அதில் நிறைய என்ன அங்கே உட்காந்து சேவ் பண்ணாங்க. Yet they continue to exercise their authority. அவங்க பவர்ஃபுல்லாக இருந்தாங்க கடைசி வரைக்கும். During 200 years rule of Fujiwara, a new class of large landholders emerged. These landholders were also military men called daimyos. The military people were called as daimyos. Great names in lords. The daimyos became powerful with their retainers and armies. Out of the fight between two chief families, the Tara and the Minamoto, underline. There was a fight between Tara and Minamoto families for the ruling. Yoritomoto emerged as a successful. In AD 1192, the emperor gave him the high-sounding title of Seitai Shogun, which means the barbarian, subduing great general. Barbarian, subduing great general. The title carried full power to govern hereditary. The shogun became the real ruler. In this way began the rule of shogunate. So, who were the rulers? தெரிகிற வரைக்கும் யார் யார் ரூல் பண்ணாங்க அப்படின்றது. Then next, Yoritomoto established his military capital at Kamakura. Therefore, the first shogunate is called Kamakura shogunate because of their capital city. Japan followed China in all spheres of life, but in its own way. Japan followed China in all spheres of life. அவங்களுடைய வழியில் one way. The emperor became a ceremonial head. The government was a feudal military government administered by samurai or warriors. What is the meaning of samurai? General knowledge. Samurai means warriors. The Mongols, who changed the course of history in Asia and terrified Europe, were successfully repulsed by the Japanese under this shogunate. Yet the decline of the ruling dynasty started in 1338 AD. The Kamakura shogunate ended. A new line of shogunate came to power known as Ashikaga shogunate. After Kamakura shogunate, Ashikaga shogunate that lasted for 235 years. But this was a period of conflict and war. Three men ultimately rescued Japan from the prolonged civil war. Who were the three men? Barbunaga, Tokugawa, Ieyasu. One name. Barbunaga, a daimyo or a nobleman. And next one is Hideyoshi. He was a peasant. And Tokugawa Ieyasu, one of the distinguished nobles of the time. By the end of 16th century, the whole of Japan was again united. Okay, children, by ruling class family. Till now, it was under the control of monarchy. Okay, children. Next, Islam and the rise of Islamic empires. Prophet Muhammad established Islam. Islam gave a message of brotherhood. Muhammad laid stress on the equality of all those who were Muslims. So, because he preached equality and brotherhood, many people started to follow him. This message of equality and brotherhood had great appeal not only for the Arabs, who were divided into warring tribes, but also for the people in other parts of the world. However, faced with persecution in his place of birth, அவர் பிறந்த ஊரில் அவரை என்ன செய்யலை, மதிக்கலை. அதனால முகமட் and his followers moved to the city of Yathrib. Yathrib means Mecca. The flight of Muhammad, flight means passing, going from Muhammad from Mecca to Medina is called Hijrah in Arabic language. In honor of his coming, the people of Yathrib renamed the city to Madinatun Nabi, the city of prophet. அவருடைய பேராலேயே அதை கூப்பிடுறாங்க. It is also known as Medina. He was born in Mecca and he went to Medina. Medina is called as Madinatun Nabi, the city of prophet. Okay, children, by the time of his death, united under a common faith, the Arabs became powerful force. The Muslim religion during his period became the powerful religion and also powerful empire. The Muslims started to rule the countries, Arabian countries. Not only that, they started to capture many places. Okay, now let us know about Arabian. Abu Bakr and Omar, who succeeded Prophet Muhammad as Caliph. For Caliph means both religious and temporal leader, laid the foundation for an Islamic empire. In a short period of time, the Arabs defeated both the Eastern Roman Empire and the Sassanid king of Persia. Jerusalem, the holy city of Jews and Christians, was won by the Arabs, and the whole of Spain and Persia come under the new Arabic empire. Islam. So, European countries, some of the European countries also come under the control of the Arab empire. Islam advocated simplicity and equality. These two ideas impressed people fed up with the old order of oppression and exploitation. The Arabs easily overran many regions. Egyptians had suffered much under the Roman Empire, and so they opted for Arabs. The Egyptians opted for Arabs, led by the General Tariq. The Arabs, after conquering Morocco and Africa, so European countries, African countries, Arabian countries, many countries were captured by the Muslim people. They crossed into Europe and took Spain, which they ruled for many hundreds of years. The Arabs, until then largely nomads, from the deserts, Sahara deserts, became the rulers of mighty empire. They were called Saracens from Sahara and Nashin. அதனால Saracens, the dwellers of the desert, பாலைவனத்தில் வாழக்கூடிய மக்கள் Saracens. Birth of Sunni and Shia sects. Now, there was a division between the Muslim people after the death of Prophet Muhammad. Some people, they wanted to follow Prophet Muhammad and his followers. And then some people, they wanted to follow Prophet Muhammad, wife's family, Prophet Muhammad's wife's family people. So, Shia sect and Sunni sect. The quarrels for the leadership of Arabia led to the division in Islam. The two sects formed out of the division were the Sunni and the Shias. The Sunnites, the Sunni Muslims maintained that the head of Islamic State and successor to the Prophet should be elected by the representatives of the whole body of believers. The Shiites, the followers Shia sect, opposed elevation to any highest political religious office other than those related to the Prophet by blood or by marriage. Prophet Muhammadoட ஓன் பிளட்டை தான் நம்ம ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு ஷியா பிரிவினர். Okay, so there is two divisions in the Islamic religion. Now next, let us know about the rule of Umayyad or Umayyad, the caliph belonging to a branch of Muhammad's family known as Umayyad. Prophet Muhammad's family called Umayyads or Umayyads ruled for about 100 years. Damascus was their capital. They developed a new style of architecture known as Saracenic architecture in the buildings. They constructed arches. The first time the Muslims constructed, உலகத்துக்கு அவங்க அப்போ தான் ஆர்ச்சஸ் எல்லாம் கட்டுறாங்க, பில்லர்ஸ் கட்டுறாங்க. அண்ட் த மினரேட்ஸ் அண்ட் டூம்ஸ் came to India later and blended with the Indian ideas. முஸ்லிம்ஸ் இந்தியாவை கேப்சர் பண்ணப்போ, முகலாயர்கள் இந்தியாவை கேப்சர் பண்ணப்போ இந்த அழகான ஆர்கிடெக்சரை இந்தியாவில் கொண்டு வந்து நிறைய கட்டுறாங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட், the Muslims Arabs carried Islam far and wide. But while they were fighting at distant lands, the Arabs at home were quarreling. Ali, the son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, and his son Hussein were murdered. Umayyads were overthrown by Abbasids. This branch descended from Prophet Muhammad's uncle Abbas, and hence his followers were called Abbasids. Umayyads, Abbasids, two types of the Muslims. Rule of Abbasid rule began in 750 AD, assuming the title of the commander of the faithful. Abbasid caliph wielded authority as any other emperor. The Abbasid tried to rival the old empires in splendor. The capital was shifted from Damascus to Baghdad. Now, when the Umayyads, while they ruled, they keep Damascus as their capital, but the Abbasids, they changed the capital or shifted the capital from Damascus to Baghdad in Iraq. Okay, now let us know about Baghdad. A city known as the City of Arabian Nights was a vast city of palaces and public offices and schools and colleges and great shops and parks and gardens. The merchants carried on a vast trade with the east and west. Visitors came to Baghdad from all over the world, especially learned men and students and artists. Nehru said all these things in the books of Glimpses of World History. Who is that Nehru? Jawaharlal Nehru. Now let us know about the Arab scholarly pursuit. Arab scholarly pursuits. Abbasid Caliph did not attempt to conquer new lands. Instead, they tried to consolidate the empire. They were more interested in scholarly pursuit. The Arabs a scientific spirit of Arabs had a scientific spirit of inquiry in some subjects like medicine, mathematics. They learned much more from India. Medicine, mathematics, and all. Many Muslim people came to India and they learned. Many students from Arabia went to Taxila. Taxila இருக்கு இந்தியாவில் to learn medical education. By that time, Taxila was a popular medical university in the world countries. Indian scholars and mathematicians came in large numbers to Baghdad. Sanskrit books on medicine and other subjects were translated into Arabic. In medicine and surgery, Arab physicians and surgeons earned a great reputation. Disintegration of Arab Empire and rise of Seljuk Turks. The Abbasid Empire was at the height of its glory during the reign of Harun al-Rashid. Underline children, Harun al-Rashid. Soon after his death, the Arab Empire started disintegrating. After the death of Harun al-Rashid, the Arab Empire disintegrating. Independent kingdoms arose everywhere. The Caliph became more and more powerless to control those kingdoms. After Harun al-Rashid, next to this rulers, they were not powerful, powerless rulers. Now, the Turks, known as Seljuk Turks, who had become Muslims, succeeded in taking possession of Baghdad. So Seljuk, the Baghdad went under the control of Baghdad, Seljuk Turks. In taking that, they also defeated the Byzantine army and of Constantinople and posed a challenge to the European states. The Christian pilgrims to the holy city of Jerusalem were put to a lot of hardships by the Turks. That resultant conflict led to the Crusades. Underline children, what do you mean by crusade? Crusade is a holy war between Muslims and the Seljuk Turks and Christians. Muslims and the Christians for the occupation of Jerusalem. Jerusalem was under the control of Seljuk Turks, so they did not allow the Christians to go to their holy place Jerusalem. Okay, so they wanted to recover. So they waged 8 crusades, 8 wars. Pope and the church called upon all the Christians, people of Europe, to march to rescue the holy city of Jerusalem. The crusaders had to fight against the Seljuk Turks, who controlled those parts. The struggle between Christianity and Islam, beginning in 1095, continued for nearly 200 years, and it is called as Crusades. The Crusades did not achieve the desired end. Jerusalem continued to remain in Ottoman hands for another 700 years. The continuous fighting associated with the Crusades weakened the Seljuk Turks. The Mongol invasion from the east side lined this cause, and Christians and Muslims alike started shifting their attention towards the advancing Mongols led by Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, Mongol ruler, one of the powerful ruler. The destruction of Baghdad in 1258 by Mongols put an end to what remained of the Abbasid Empire. So Abbasid Empire came to an end by the Mongol ruler Genghis Khan. Okay children, keep it in your memory. Okay, now let us know. Children, let us know about the impact of crusade. Crusades ended the feudal relations. Many of the nobles who went to east to take part in the crusades either stayed too long a period or did not return. The serfs took advantage of their absence to break away from their bondage to the soil. Increasing demand for products of the east led to the expansion of trade. Venice, underline children, Genoa and Pisa emerged as important commercial centers in the Mediterranean region. Constantinople ceased to be a middleman in the trade between the east and west. The elimination of powerful nobles had its influence in strengthening the monarchy in France, in England. One notable outcome of crusade was the loss of prestige suffered by Pope and papacy. The last meaning is because of the crusade nala என்னென்ன தாக்கம் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா போப்புக்கு இருந்த அதிகாரம் குறைஞ்சிருச்சு because of the failure of the war. கிறிஸ்டியன்ஸ் நிறைய வாட்டி ஃபெயில் ஆனாங்க. 4 times they failed, 4 times முஸ்லிம்ஸ் failed. ஸோ இன்னும் என்ன அப்படின்னா, நிறைய பேர் சண்டை போட போனவங்க என்ன செய்யலை, திரும்பி வரவே இல்லை. திரும்பி என்ன செய்யலை, வரலை. ஸோ வாட் ஹேப்பன், திரும்பி வரவே இல்லை. அதனால் என்ன செய்கிறாங்க, இந்த பாண்டில் இருப்பாங்க இல்லையா, பெரிய பெரிய நிலச்சி வந்தவங்களுக்கு கீழே பாண்டில் இருந்தக்கூடிய விவசாயிகள்லாம் இண்டிபெண்ட் ஆகிட்டாங்க. அந்த இடம் ஒருவேளை அவங்களுக்கே போய் சேர்ந்துருக்கும். ஓகேயா, தட் இஸ். அப்போ இன்னொன்று போப்போட அதிகாரம் போச்சு. இதுதான் இம்பேக்ட் ஆஃப் க்ரூசேட். ஓகே சில்ட்ரன், நெக்ஸ்ட் லெட் அஸ் நோ அபவுட் மங்கோல்ஸ் அண்ட் செங்கிஸ் கான். Mongols were nomads. They were herdsmen. The Mongols were experts in warfare and produced a remarkable chief, Genghis Khan. He was a great military genius. Mongols ruled over Russia for about Mongolians captured Russia. Not only that, many parts of the world countries were under the control of the Mongols by the head of Genghis Khan. Hold over Russia for about 300 years made Russia technologically backward from the rest of Europe until the end of the Middle Ages. Till the end of the Middle Ages, Russia was under the control of Genghis Khan or the Mongols. Ottoman Empire. Let us know about Ottoman Empire. When the Mongols advanced across Asia, Ottoman Turks, they are different from Seljuk Turks, fled and took asylum, தஞ்சமடைறாங்க under Seljuks in Western Asia. But when the Seljuk Turks weakened, the Ottoman extended their power. They crossed over to Europe and occupied Bulgaria, Serbia, and made Adrianople their capital. Instead of directly attacking Constantinople, they surrounded it and were biding their time. The conquest of Constantinople in 1453 AD by Muhammad II, underline Muhammad II, Constantinople was captured by Muhammad II, helped establish Ottoman supremacy in the Balkans, Black Sea and the Middle East. Europe map எடுத்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா Balkan countries, we have studied Romania, Albania, Serbia, Russia பக்கத்தில் இருக்கக்கூடிய countries எல்லாம் Balkan state. Okay children? Okay, next let us know about, for some time, next paragraph, for some time Ottomans were strong and the Christian Europe was scared of them. Ottomans were ரொம்ப பவர்ஃபுல் ஆகிட்டாங்க, கிறிஸ்டியன்ஸ் அவங்கள பார்த்து பயப்பட்டாங்க. ஆஃப்டர் கான்கரிங் Egypt, they assumed the title of Caliph. They became major player in the international power politics of the day. Though weakened during the 19th century, it formally ended after the First World War. During the First World War, Turkey was, Ottoman Empire was defeated by the Allied powers. Okay children, what are the Allied powers? France, Britain, America and all Allied powers. So Turkey was defeated during the First World War. Okay, next let us know about the feudalism. It's another thing in the Middle Ages. Middle Ages was ruled by feudalism. Despite the powerful religions such as Christianity and Islam, economic life of people was governed by feudal relations, feudal lords. See the system of feudal lords, it's look like a pyramid. So in the top, king was there. Below the kings, the vassals, sub-vassals, the nobles. Likewise, now let us read. The king supposed to represent God on earth was at its height. So top, the king is considered as the god. Okay, now it was head of the feudal regime. Immediately after him, அவருக்கு கீழே யார் இருக்கா, வேர் the great nobles. கிங்ஸுக்கு அப்புறம் நோபல்ஸ் இருப்பாங்க, மினிஸ்டர்ஸ் இருப்பாங்க, known as dukes, counts, earls. ஓகேயா, அண்டர்லைன் பண்ணிக்கோங்க, தெரிஞ்சுக்கோங்க this words and all. The relationship was one of the vassal. The nobles in turn had vassals of their own, dividing and distributing their fief. Fief means land, to the lesser nobles called viscounts or barons. Last in this order were the knights, whose fiefs could not be divided. Knightsனா அவங்களுடைய நிலத்தை டிவைட் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. இவங்களுக்கு கீழே யார் இருக்கா அப்படின்னா பெசன்ஸ் இருப்பாங்க, அவங்க தான் யார், ஸ்லேவ்ஸ். அவங்களுக்கு பேர் என்ன, இன்னொன்று வில்லியன்ஸ். தே ஆர் கால்டு ஸ்லேவ்ஸ். In the feudal system which centered around vassalage, there was no idea of equality or freedom. There were only rights and obligations. The bishops, abbots and cardinals, the priest next to pope. இது ஒரு feudal system in the church. அது stateல இது churchல. Pope, bishops, abbots and cardinals. The priest next to pope, cardinals, bishops, religious head in district level, abbots, chief among the Christian priests, and the church came under the socio-political structure. The nobility and the clergy did not do any physical work. So the burden of producing the food and other necessities went under the control of the peasants and artisans. Okay, children. Next, church. New elements were included in Christian theology. They were the theory of priesthood and the theory of sacraments. Sacramentsனால் என்ன அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த கோயிலில் கொடுக்கக்கூடிய அருட்சாதனங்கள்னு தமிழில் சொல்லுவாங்க. கேத்தலிக்ஸ்லாம் வந்து கிறிஸ்டியனாக இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னா பேப்டிசம், கம்யூனியன், அந்த மாதிரி 7 sacraments அவங்க வாங்கியிருக்கணும். These 2 elements increase the power of the clergies. இதை யார் கொடுப்பா அப்படின்னா இந்த சர்ச்சில் இருக்கக்கூடிய clergies. சர்ச்சில் இருக்கவங்கலாம் யார்? clergies. அவங்க கொடுப்பாங்க. இதை வந்து நிறைய பேர் யார் சர்ச்சை எதுக்குறாங்களோ அவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்க. அதுக்கு பேர் என்ன அப்படின்னா எக்ஸ்கம்யூனிகேஷன் அண்ட் இன்டர்டிக்ட். அப்படின்னா வாட் இஸ் த மீனிங்? இட் மென்ட் depriving a person of all the privileges of a Christian. இந்த கிறிஸ்டியன்ஸுக்கு சர்ச்சிலேருந்து எந்த ப்ரிவிலேஜஸும் கிடையாது. ஹி வாஸ் டினைட் த ரைட் டு சாக்ரமெண்ட்ஸ், அருட்சாதனங்கள் இன் சர்ச். ஹிஸ் ஆர் ஹெர் பாடி குட் நாட் பி பரிட். புதைக்கிறதுக்கோ எதிக்கிறதுக்கோ கூட இந்த சர்ச் வழியாக அவங்களால முடியாது. பரிட் இன் த கான்செக்ரேட்டட் கிரவுண்ட். இன்டர்டிக்ட் வாட் வாஸ் டு டினை பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் ஆஃப் ரிலீஜியன் டு எ ரூலர் சப்ஜெக்ட். ரூலர்ஸோட சப்ஜெக்ட்டுக்கு இந்த என்ன கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்க, இந்த பெனிஃபிட் எல்லாம் கிடையாது. இன்டெண்டட் டு கிண்டில் தியர் ரிசன்மெண்ட் அகெயின்ஸ்ட் ஹிம். எதிர்ப்பை காமிச்சாங்க அப்படின்னா சர்ச்சுக்கு அகெயின்ஸ்டா இல்லைன்னா அவருக்கு அகெயின்ஸ்டா, ரூலர்ஸுக்கு அகெயின்ஸ்டா இந்த எதிர்ப்பு இருந்துச்சு அப்படின்னா அவங்களுக்கும் என்ன கிடையாது, இந்த மாதிரி சாக்ரமெண்ட்ஸோ கோயிலில் எந்த விதமான இதுவும் கிடையாது. Okay, the growth of church in the later Middle Ages was accompanied by the rise of ambitious political leaders. In the conflict between German Emperor Henry IV and the Pope Gregory VII, Pope by means of interdict succeeded in making the emperors to abdicate the throne. By means of interdict, Pope Innocent III forced King John to recognize England and Ireland as fiefs of the papacy. Many pious Christians now began to resent Pope's intrusion into state. யாராவது சர்ச்சில் நடக்கக்கூடியதை எதிர்த்து கேட்டாங்கன்னா அவங்கள ரூலராக இருந்தாலும் சரி எதுனா இருந்தாலும் சரி அவங்கள என்ன செஞ்சுருவாங்க, இந்த எக்ஸ்கம்யூனிகேஷன் அண்ட் இன்டர்டிக்ட் அப்படின்ற ஒரு இதை வச்சு அவங்கள ஒதுக்கிடுவாங்க சர்ச்சில் இருந்து. Okay, children. Next but last, India is the corresponding period. In the Middle Age, India oda nilamai enna? Okay, children, let us know. Around this time when Europe fragmented into multiple small Germanic kingdoms after the collapse of Roman Empire, the Huns, the white people, a fierce and warlike people. Huns were the white color, fierce and warlike people from Central Asia invaded northeast India. Though they were repulsed by Gupta rulers, Skandagupta defeated the Huns. They entered India after his death and settled all over central India. Toramana and Mihirakula, underline, were the two well-known Huns rulers. They persecuted Buddhists and banned all the monasteries. Yashodharman of Malwa is credited to have ended the rule of Huns in India around 528 AD. Chalukyas, Badami or Vadabi relationship with Persia. The Chalukyas kingdom extended contemporaneously with the rule of Sassanid dynasty of Persia. Kushru II, the last great king of Sassanid of dynasty, who had a close relationship with the Tang dynasty. ஸோ டேங் டைனஸ்டி சைனாவில் ரூல் பண்ணும்போது இந்தியாவுக்கும் சைனாவுக்கும் நல்ல தொடர்பு இருந்தது. அண்ட் த சாளுக்கியாஸ் ஆஃப் ரூலர் புலிகேசின் செகண்ட் எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் அம்பாசடர். புலிகேசின் செகண்ட் இந்தியாவை ரூல் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருக்கும்போது சைனாவுக்கும் இந்தியாவுக்கும் கனெக்ஷன் இருந்தது. நிறைய அம்பாசடர் தூதுவர்களை அனுப்பிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. சாளுக்கியாஸ் கிங்டம் கம்பரைஸ் த மகாராஷ்டிரா கண்ட்ரி வித் பதாமி ஆஸ் கேபிட்டல். Huansong, he was a Chinese ambassador to India, speaks highly of their courage. According to him, they are warlike and proud-spirited, grateful for favors and revengeful for wrongs. Okay, children, as we have completed the lesson. If you don't understand any paragraph, please call me and ask me to explain. Okay, children. Okay, now I'll mark the answers. I will send you as a message and read the short answer. Read fully and write first 2 short answers as test. Okay, children. Okay.